Hey, how are you doing, everybody? This is Christian. I'm on WRBQ 216. I just yesterday took my ham radio technician's license test at Columbia University in New York City, and I passed. If I'm right, I passed with about 31 of them correct. What I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to get other people that want to go into ham radio and take their technician's license. I wanted to give them a good idea of what to expect, what to study, and how to study for your test. And one of the things that I want to go over is what is amateur radio or ham radio? First off, radios like this. This is a Baofeng UV82 radio. It's a ham radio in essence. And what this thing does is it allows you to talk and transmit on certain frequencies that have been allocated from the FCC to ham radio operators. There are three levels of ham radio operator licensing. One is the entry level technician class. Then you have the general class, which is one step above that. And then you have amateur extra. And that's as of now. A few years, about 30 years ago, there was a novice for, I believe, under 18, if I'm correct. This is about 30 plus years ago. That no longer exists now. So as of now, those are the three. Getting your technician's license allows you to utilize walkie-talkies, base stations, and mobile stations units on those frequencies. And what you need to do is you have to have a good understanding of radio. What you need to understand is one key thing to understand is the rules and regulations of using walkie-talkies on those bands within the United States and also internationally as well. You also need to understand electronics. Electronics, because what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to set up your own station, as many as you want. You can have one in your car, you can have a walkie-talkie, you can, base station, and they want you to they want to know if you understand, or you should understand, a good amount of electronic technology, so that when you are using these devices, high-powered devices using antennas, high-powered RF signals, and all those other things, radio frequency is RF, and power supplies and other things such like that, that you understand what you're doing. They don't want just anybody that don't understand it to just do as they will, and you're doing two things. One, you're endangering yourself with high voltage. RF frequencies are very dangerous. You can be exposed to these things and get either very sick or die from doing it. You can interfere with emergency broadcasts, other ham radio operators, systems, TV in your local area where you are. So they want you to understand a little bit about all of that, so that you are, in essence, a technician to understand what's going on. The next step would be understanding how to communicate with other ham radio operators. So all of those things kind of fall in to what you should understand and what you will be tested on taking your technician's classes and then your test. One thing I wanted to do was give people an understanding of what I did. First thing I did, and this might sound very backwards, is I bought myself walkie-talkies. Now, at the beginning of my video, I did give my call sign, and that call sign is for General Mobile Radio Service. General Mobile Radio Service is a licensed level of radio communication that is one step below amateur radio, technician level. You don't need to have a test with that. You just have to identify yourself with the FCC and pay a fee that now is, I think, up to my 10 years now. Yeah, it's 10 years. I got my GMRS license in 2018. Does May or June of 2018, and it won't expire until 28. And the reason why I did do General Mobile is to understand it helps a huge step or two forward with understanding radio communications. One thing that GMRS radios are licensed carriers are able to do is not only you can use walkie-talkies on repeaters on those frequencies, you understand you're learning how to use the walkie-talkies, base stations, and or mobile. I have a mobile in my car, in my van actually, and I use that. I use walkie-talkies. I don't have a base station as of yet, but I will sooner or later. And it helps you understand how to use the frequencies, how do you communicate with a repeater, which is not just 1-2. There's certain steps that you have to take in order to get a walkie-talkie or a base station or your mobile radio station units to communicate with people over a repeater. And if you understand that a little bit, then that's one or two huge steps forward in understanding technically what ham radio is all about. And that is talking over repeaters in a large portion of it. There is simplex parts of it that you can use too, but repeaters is everything about communicating over a vast distance, over state lines, thousands of miles. I can use this walkie right here, right? $35, $40 radio, and I can end up talking over a repeater and talking to people in states that's far away from here, other countries, and even the space station, the ISS, which is huge amount of, I guess you could say, a huge responsibility. You have to be able to understand how to talk to other ham radio operators, and also if you ever wanted to get to talking to the space station, you got to understand how to use these things. So those are all the things that I did. So what I did was I got myself walkie-talkies a long time ago to use it on General Mobile radio services. And with that, it gave me a huge understanding of how to use repeaters. Secondly, use it to listen to other ham radios, operators, stations. Don't transmit to them, but you can definitely scan a few stations and listen in to 2 meter. Like one thing I did was I got on and I listened to Simplex on amateur band, which is they have two. They have everywhere has a different band that they might use, but the national is 2 meter band and 70 meter band, and they have frequencies for those, and both of those different frequency settings that usually people talk on just to talk on in their local area. And that's awesome because you can talk to them and not even have to worry about using a repeater. You can talk to your local area, and depending on how powerful your base station and where in your elevation, you might be able to talk to a whole area. Like in New York City, if you have a good elevation, good antenna, and you don't really have to worry about too much wattage, I'll say about 25 watts should get you, depending on where your elevation, if you're blocked by a lot of buildings or not. If you're not blocked by a lot of buildings, your propagation probably gets you out there. You probably be able to talk to a whole geological area, about 40, 50 miles, and you probably be able to talk to everybody. I have people that I've heard from, that I talk to online, that I've heard on the air, that will say, oh, I'm talking to this guy, he's all the way out in Long Island, and I'm all the way out in Brooklyn, and we about 40 miles apart or more, and I've heard it. So you can use that to listen in to ham radio operators and stations and get a good understanding of what they're doing on the air. Thirdly, go online, go on YouTube. There are classes that are on YouTube that go from the first class all the way for technicians and general and amateur extra, and you can literally sit in and watch and take notes and test yourself just as if you was in the class. And I did all of that. I watched a few videos and I got a good understanding. I tested myself with their classes. Also, you can get an app that ham radio testing and review on Android and Apple that you can use to test yourself. Read the literature. I would say don't get too overwhelmed with the material, because you can go through all of this and bug out, not understanding everything. I took it in small steps. Understanding the rules and regulations is like the number one thing that you have to understand. Understand that a little bit, go over to the technical part. Understanding what are repeaters and electronics and stuff like that. They break it down for you. So what I did was, I didn't go over every single thing because it's just too much material. I went over the main things that they were going to ask you. It's 35 questions. I would not at all say go over every single thing. If you are good at testing like that, more power to you. But if you're just a simple, just want to get past, see if you can get at least 26 plus right, go over a few things out of all of that and repetitively go over those fields or those questions or that material. So when you do test yourself, see if you can get an 80 plus, see if you can get a 90 plus. And what I did was I used the app and I kept on testing, because every time you test yourself on the app, it would switch up the line of questions that you have to answer, and look at it, understand what it is. Oh, this one I don't remember seeing. Let me go online and see what this is all about. And that's what I did. I took the test. A lot of them things I knew, but some of them that I didn't, I just said, oh, okay, let me see what this one is. And they all have a number that is that goes along with the question. So you can put it starts with a T, like technician. It will have a T, and it will have a bunch of numbers that you can put in Google search or YouTube, and it will show you exactly that same question, because they're all numbered and based on your level of class and where you want to go. Let's say you're taking the technicians, it's going to have a T. If you're taking your general, it's going to have a G. If you're taking your amateur extra, it's going to have an AE, if I'm correct. So it's easy to just say, oh, okay, I don't know this one. I'm going to search it and I'm going to research it to understand what that one is. That's what I did. Anytime I got one wrong, I would write it down, and then I would keep on going. Go to the next one you got wrong. And I did get a lot of them wrong. But the best thing to do is go over every single one of those things that you got wrong, so then you can go search it. Or you might look at it and say, oh, that's not too hard to understand. I got this wrong and it's that. Okay. And then when you take it again, you see it again, you'll be like, oh, I know exactly what that is now. And repetitiveness is going to be the key to passing. Repetitiveness. Constantly test yourself on that material so that you are just so easy, it comes like second nature. I did it for months. I just kept on going over the tests and the questions. 35 questions, constantly doing it over and over and over again. And anytime I got a question that I didn't know, I look at it, depending on how hard it is or what it is, I either searched it or I just took it into mind so that the next time I see that same question, I knew what it was. Easy. So those three things, I'm not going to have this video too long, but those are the three major things that I did in order to get a good understanding of amateur radio. Get yourself a cheap radio, entry walkie-talkie. Get yourself whatever it is. It doesn't have to be the same radio. But you can go online, go on Amazon. People are selling their old radios that they might not be using all the time on Let Go, on Amazon, on Facebook Market. If you're into Facebook and you understand how to navigate Facebook, they have a marketplace. There's a whole lot of hammers out there that are selling their equipment. I would not say get into the high-end stuff yet if you're not a ham radio operator yet and you're just trying to learn it. I'll say get yourself a very inexpensive radio so that you can understand how to program it and listen into radio transmissions. Listen into transmissions. Please do not transmit if you're not already a technician, and you should, if you're testing for that or you already understand that, that's good. But for those who don't know, just don't transmit. I'll say get on the 2 meter simplex channels frequencies. Save it. Save the 70 meter, depending on your area. Some areas have different traffic. Like the 70 meter is not that trafficked out here because the higher in frequency, the buildings are knocking them out here in New York City. Now, in an open area, Long Island, upstate New York, outside in New Jersey, outside in Connecticut, they might be able to use the 70 and going out west and stuff like that in the open areas are very good for simplex because you can get several miles, flatland area, line of sight. You might be able to get up to about 10 miles depending. So you're getting out there, you know. So if you're out in the west or if you're in the open area, you might be able to get a good amount of propagation where you're getting out there and you can talk to other hams, or in this case just listening to other hams. And 2 meter out here is better in New York City right now. I hear a lot of people on 2 meter simplex channels, and all of these things are easy. Just go online, learn how to save frequencies into a radio. Like right now, I'm not sure if you can. Yeah, you can see it. That frequency at the top is the International Space Station's frequency, and I would say get on that too. Listen to them. It's amazing to listen to the astronauts when they come around and when they start transmitting. So right now, I have it there just to see if I can hear. I did hear some transmissions a few days ago, but this is good to do. But this is how it looks on a radio that's a ham radio. You can see the frequencies and stuff like that. But get into that, study the material, and if you need any extra help, I'm good at helping people understand how to do some studying. Another thing that I would say to do is probably get into a club. Ham radio clubs are all over the place, and one thing I want to tell you is they are open hands. They are all ready to take you. Some of them do have a fee that you have to do yearly or whatever, annual fee and stuff like that. Some of them don't. Some of them don't even ask. One thing I got to tell you is that those guys have some of them have a lot of experience in radio communications with ham radio and even GMRS radio. There's some of them like me. I have 2 licenses now. I have a GMRS radio license, and now I have my technician's license for ham radio. So you know those guys will be able to help you. They might be able to do classes for you if they're doing a class. Some of them do it once a year. Some of them do it more than once a year. Some of them do it once every month. There's all types of different possibilities out there. So thanks for watching, and if anybody has any questions, subscribe. Nightwalker is my YouTube channel. I'm just getting into doing the videos for ham radio. I do other things, so check out my other videos and have a good day.